Welcome back, One of Niners, to my One of Nine podcast. It is your favorite curly-headed Dominican here. Just touching base with you guys. I want to give you a huge thank you. I appreciate you guys for watching my previous podcast episode named Me, Myself, and I. If you haven't checked it out, please go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, and watch my latest episode. I also uploaded the episode with my mom, which I had to pretty much drag her out of the room to come and sit down on this very same couch. She's not a fan of cameras. She's never was, and I don't think she'll ever be. So, but if you really do know my mom, it took a lot of her to be on camera, and it took a lot of her to even share. She's a very private person. She doesn't like sharing much. She just, I don't know. She's been through a lot of shit. So I was very reluctant to have her on my podcast. And I'm like forever grateful. Those are memories that I will live. I would keep on just rewinding in my head, and the laughs, that I share with her and stuff like that. So it took a lot of her to be on my episode. If you haven't watched it, once again, please go check it out. I will advise you to find yourself a Dominican and sit down and watch it with them, because it is in Spanish. And if you know a Dominican, you should know that Dominican Spanish is not regular Spanish. We do tend to speak a little fast on there, especially my mom. So if you do know my mom, she speaks really, really, really fast. And I don't even think I could have put subtitles even if I wanted to. On that episode, I did have my brother Mitch in the background. He was sitting in. So it was actually a family episode, because I also had Gigi sitting in here as well. She was very quiet. She was just watching and observing. So that episode will forever live with me. And that will always be my favorite episode. So like I said, go check it out. Subscribe to my YouTube channel while you're at it. And as far as the episode that I uploaded regarding myself and just me talking about what I went through when I was younger, my teenage years, the reason it just clicked in me and I wanted to just talk about it was I was going through some paperwork. I was doing like cleaning out my desk, and I came across my high school transcript where it says all my credits, all my grades, and I was just going through it, and I saw how my freshman semester, I was an average student, like, A-okay, whatever. I don't remember particularly why. I knew I always found high school to be easy to me, but I don't particularly remember why I was an average student. Like, I should have had better grades, and that was my first 2 semester of my freshman year in high school. And then you can see my first 3 semesters, so my whole freshman year and my first semester of my sophomore year, I was average. And then my 4th semester, which was my second semester of my sophomore year, I guess that's when all the absences started happening, because I was going through it, and I had to keep missing school to go to doctor's appointments and stuff like that. So little by little, I pretty much had to like withdraw from classes. So but before I did do that, I was missing a lot of classes. You could just see my grades plummet. And I don't have anything on my transcript from 2006, no, late 2006, I believe, to early 2007, something like that. And when I came back from like receiving chemo and radiation and stuff like that, and I went back into high school, I remember it was really difficult for me, because at that point, all my friends were 1 grade ahead of me. So like, literally the world kept going while I was going through my treatment, and it hit me hard, and I was working my ass off. Like, I was taking summer school, and something that I never had to do. I was taking summer school. I was taking extra classes. I was staying after school just so that I can try and graduate with my friends, because I didn't know anybody in my grade. Like, I was literally, I was supposed to be a junior when I got back, and everybody was already, no, I came back, which was supposed to be my senior year, I believe, and all my friends were seniors and I was a junior, and that just hit me hard, man. I was like, damn, bro, like, I don't know anybody. And I was already like, people were spreading, like, news spread around. And everybody was like, yo, did you hear Liz? Like, a lot of people didn't know me because I was still a freshman. Then when I was leaving, I was a sophomore. So a lot of people were like, hey, so when I came back, it was just like that unwanted attention that I didn't want. And being known as the girl that like had cancer. Nobody ever said that to me, but that's how I felt. Like, that was my perception. And that's how I felt that everybody viewed me. So I plummeted headfirst into all my books. At that point, like, I just didn't give a shit. I joined the volleyball team. I joined the basketball team. I joined the softball team. My mom was like, oh, you can't be doing all of that. You have to take it easy. You just came back from, I was like, Mom, I would forge her signatures so that I can do all these things. I forged her signature to get my working papers. It's like that time you had to like go get a physical and have your parents sign you off so that you can go and like, if you wanted to work. And I just forged her signatures so that I can do all that because she didn't want me to do any of that. Like, she literally just wanted me to go school and back because I was still fragile. I was still like going through it. And in my mind, I was like, I don't want to keep living like my life like, oh, I'm fragile. I'm that girl that had cancer. I'm that girl, so I just wanted to like, that was my way of dealing with it. Like, I didn't want anything to do with that. I didn't want to speak about it. I took a very long time to ever talk about it. And when my mom would talk about it, I would just be like, just leave it alone. Like, don't talk about it. I don't want to like even mention it. I don't know why, but I don't remember. I don't have any recollection of ever discussing the topic with my brother, Mitch. I just feel like he's always been one of those people where it's like, if you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. But if it's like the elephant in the room, he's not going to be the one to address it. So that's always been him. And since I never wanted to talk about it, I guess he never mentioned it. Or he never even spoke about it, or he never even was like, hey, how you feeling? And I think, also has a lot to do with growing up. I don't ever remember like how I am with Giselle now. I don't ever remember even discussing feelings growing up. Like, discussing feelings was like a taboo. It was like like, I remember my mom would like punish us, like she'd whoop our ass, like, and then we'd be in the room like in just solitary confinement, like just like when you have no more tears left to cry and you just like cried all you can, and then she just comes bursting in the room. Are you gonna eat? There's food on the table. Go eat. And then she'll like just leave the door open, and you're just like, and then you start to think to yourself, well, I am a little hungry. I should go eat. I've cried a lot. But it was just one of those things where like, it wasn't the norm to apologize. It wasn't the norm to, like, hey, how was school? How you doing? How you feeling? Are you happy? So us speaking about our feelings, like growing up, I don't remember it being ever like a thing. Which is weird because my mom, she's not a very emotional person. And even growing up, we used to, be like, I love you, mom. And she'll be like, oh, ¿qué tú quieres? Like, yo no tengo dinero. And be like, bro, I'm just like saying, I love you. Like, I don't want money, but since you like offered already, like, I do need like $5 or something. But, it was, it was, I don't ever remember talking about feelings. I don't ever remember, being emotional. I guess that's why sometimes like it's hard for me to, show emotion because it wasn't a thing. And I get that from my mom. And then now, as me being a single mom, like I look at my mom, she had to raise like 4 kids, because she had me and Mitch. And then like, I believe in 97, she, she adopted my 2 cousins. Or brought them in after my aunt passed away. And which is why, like, I consider, like, I'm very close to those 2 cousins of mine. Like, I still consider them like my siblings as well, because I share a huge part of my childhood with them. More so with Oscar because Oscar's like around my age. He's like a year older than me, I think, a year and a half. So we were like on that same age level. But me being a single mother now, I see why my mom had to put on that tough exterior, why she couldn't show weakness, Not only because that's how she was raised, because she was raised in the Dominican Republic, where it was like, um, she grew up with a lot of siblings as well. Each sibling had a job, each sibling had a function. And it was just a different time. So for her to come to the States and, now she has two kids of her own, and now she inherited two more. Being a single mom, like I could just imagine living in a 1 bedroom apartment in Astoria, Queens. It was like I can see why she put on that tough exterior, and on top of that, she worked sanitation for the New York City, for the city of New York. So I feel like she was dealt a really tough hand, which is why she had to, acclimate herself to that um lifestyle. And I don't blame her, never did. She worked her ass off to put us through school. We had the best like summer camps. I remember me and Oscar, we used to go to young people day camp, which is now I try to look it up to put Giselle in. That shit's expensive. That's like 8 grand for the whole summer. I'm like, what the? Who has this type of money? And then like just seeing how like we were able to go to that camp, and it was just like we met so many people. I don't think we ever took advantage of it the way that we should have. Like we just went, and to us we saw it as like literally summertime. We don't want to do jack shit. Like we just want to sit at home. But we saw it as like, oh, as soon as we saw that school bus pick us up, we were like, ugh. But now looking back at it, we were so fortunate to have that kind of resource available to us, and it was all thanks to like my mom putting us through it. So, um, but like I said, it's she's just very to herself in the sense of her lifestyle, and it's never been spoken about. And we, we're only left to wonder, why is my mom like that? She does have a tender side, which is like she likes to cater to people. Everybody who knows her, they call her mama. And like growing up as a teenager, all my friends from high school, they used to come over, and it was like one of those sitcoms where like my door was always open, or they would knock and my mom was like, who is he? Who is he? That was her way of saying, who is it? Who is it? And they would be like, mama, and then my mom would open the door, and and stuff like that. So and every time we had a get together, oh, is your mom cooking? Is she doing this? Is she doing that? And we were just very lucky. Like growing up, we were like, oh my god, why is she so grumpy? Why she always got an attitude? Why she's always this? Now it's just like we understand it's just her personality, but she doesn't mean wrong. She doesn't mean anything negative by it. And she could be snippy too. But that's just how she is. She has a huge heart. She would throw me over a bridge for Giselle. That's how much she loves her. So, there goes that. I have never seen her be so tender and just lovey dovey in my life until like Giselle came along, and I was just like, what, like mind blown. Like I've never. So that's why I be like grandkids. They bring out a certain part of people that you never knew existed, and she's a perfect example of that. I will forever be entirely grateful. I owe her my life literally because when I was going through chemo and radiation, even though it was in the Caribbean, since I'm not a resident of the Dominican Republic, my mom had to pay out of pocket for all of my treatment. And yes, it is in a different currency, which is pesos, but it still, equates to dollars eventually. My mom spent in that year and a half, almost 2 years, my mom, I would say she spent like about 32 grand. And that's nothing compared to what she would have spent here. That's if I would have stayed alive, because they were so slow in finding what was wrong with me, that which is the reason why my mom sent me to the Dominican Republic. It's till this day I look back on it and I'm like really, is this is the USA and this is how slow you're working towards finding what's wrong with a child. But yeah, going through radiation, chemotherapy was the worst shit. Oh my god, like until this day I have scars like on my veins. Like if you see me without like with short sleeves, my veins, I still have like darker spots, darker areas where my veins, used to be. And some of them you can still see like on my wrist. Um, and here, which is like sometimes like first they would start off in the inner arm with the IV and the chemo, and then once those veins were burnt out, like when you're getting chemo, like you literally feel the chemicals going through your veins. That's how bad, like it burns to the point where it feels cold. Like it's a tough explanation. I can't really explain it, but that's pretty much how it felt. Like it was, have you ever gotten burned and it feels ice cold at first? Or like perfect example, like when you're in the snow and your hands are like frozen, you don't feel anything, and then it goes hot, 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 and then it starts to hurt. That's pretty much how you feel, but in a designated spot. And then once those veins started to deteriorate or damage because of the chemicals, then they started moving on to the hands. Then they started moving on to the wrist. And they would use the little baby butterflies because my veins were no longer, as thick as they're supposed to be for an adolescent or an adult. But I wouldn't change anything because that experience made me who I am today, and it also gave me an outlook on life that I don't think I would have had. Like I don't know where I would have been had that not happened to me. Like I wouldn't have taken school seriously. Um, but no, I wouldn't change anything about it. Obviously the only thing I would change, which is probably still affecting my mom now, is financially. Like it took her a really long time to recuperate financially. Like so if I ever had the money, like woo, my mom would be sitting on a golden toilet if it was for me. Like that's the only um like real, I would say, like extreme fantasy or extreme goal that I have, like to have the financial stability to like just give my mom everything she gave me and more. Like she deserved the world, but that's another episode. But yeah, pretty much that was just a little bit more detail about my previous episode, the Me, Myself, and I. Like I said, if you haven't watched it, go subscribe, go watch it. And it's it's still a story that I don't tell. Like people close to me today, a few people, a handful, I would say, know this part about me. What I went through. I don't share it often. Hopefully it gets out there, and just if you ever need someone to talk to, even if I'm a complete stranger to you, sometimes strangers are the best people to talk to about things like that, because you don't have to worry about judgment. You don't have to worry about long term impressions or stuff like that. So I'm always open to talking to I actually I would prefer that, talk to complete strangers about situations, delicate situations like that, instead of like my friends, which is weird because I feel like then moving forward they're gonna like treat me differently, or they're gonna have like some sense of uh pity or softness for me or whatever. I don't know. Not that I've experienced it, but it's just that like that subconscious thought that you would have. But yeah. And then now, since we're talking about friends, I was like the other day I was heading to work, and it was like one of those complete silent drives. Like I was just thinking, and it was raining, so the mood was just hidden. And I was like, damn, this time last year, I had a group of friends that if I were to pick up the phone and say, who can I talk to now? Like, I'm not friends with any, and I'm not going to say we're enemies, but we're just no longer in contact, whether it be for their personal reasons, my personal reasons, immaturity or not. Like, we just don't talk. Like, my circle right now is not the same circle I had last year. And, I have a friend, Michelle. I was talking to her about this, and I was like, yo, dude, like, I don't have like those friends. Like, that I had last year when I was going through what I was going through last year. Cause I was like, this time last year, I was super, super, super in my feelings. Like I was super depressed and had just like stopped working at my previous job. And it really hit me hard. Cause like I was on the fast pace to like growth and career development. And it's just like, just, over stupidity. But she was like, just put it like this: God puts people in your life at certain times in your life to help you through that. And some of them are there for a long time, some of them are not. So just look at it as God put those people in your life to help you through those moments. And little by little, for whatever reason, He's removing them from your life because you no longer need them. Don't take it personal. Don't look at it as they did something to you or you did something to them. It's just you outgrew each other. And like that was like so true. Like that was like so fucking true. When I tell you that at like this time last year, I had my clique. I was going to the gym with these folks. Like we was just kicking it. We had sleepovers, grown ass people having sleepovers, just, going through, like we would go through, we would have hurricane parties together and stuff like that here in Florida. And now it's like, I don't even fucking talk to them anymore for whatever reason it may be. Each literally has its own situation in itself, but it's insane how people can just move on as if nothing happened. And I'm talking about like maybe like within 4 months, like just gone poof. And it's just, to me, it's weird how people like can just live, and not address certain situations. Like I'm the type of person, if I have something bothering me, it's going to continue to bother me until I address it. Like I'm just going to either go up to the person, or some way, somehow get to the bottom of it. Whether it doesn't have to be confrontational. It's just going to be like, hey, is there an issue? Like, do we have an issue? But there's just some people who are like, go about their business, like la di da di da, like nothing happened. Or like, I just rather just flip the page, don't address it and just move on. Like how? Like that doesn't bother you? That doesn't bother you that you never, as an adult, you never addressed the situation and you never, like, you just decided to move on? Is that what we're doing now? Like, and it's not even about holding grudges, because I don't hold grudges. I either address it, and if it's worth my energy, if it's worth my time, obviously I'll either address it or I won't. But if I don't address it, it's because something was done. Like we had a squabble, we had a discussion, we had an argument where that was the defining point of me deciding whether or not I need to further, go into that. Like if we had a discussion or we had a disagreement and I was just like, you know what, the hell with this. I don't need this. That's when I'm gonna walk away. But if we were talking fine and just out of nowhere, like you went AWOL, like that's going to continue to bother me. Like that's not going to bother you. Like who does that? And, but then again, these are, like I said, I just keep going back to the message that, my friend gave me, where it was just like, these are people that are no longer of use to you. And I don't mean it like I was using them or they were using me. It's just like, we just pretty much outgrew each other. So I think that's completely normal. And by normal, I mean like it's been happening so constant that I think it's what leads me to having like trust issues. Like, I meet people and it takes me a lot for me to graduate that person from acquaintance to friend. And it would take a lot because I'm just at the point where I'm like, keep meeting new people. It gets tiring, it gets boring. And then I consider myself a very social butterfly, but it gets to the point where I don't even want to go out. I don't even want to meet new people. Cause it's like, why? Like, why am I going to go out and meet new people? But at the end of the day, I know that's wrong. I don't want to keep seeing meeting people as a network. Like that's going to get me into that business mentality where someone's always going to be of service to me, or they're just going to be meaning to me, not just like, oh, a friend. Like this person's going to come to my house, we hang out and stuff like that. Like I can count on one hand and still have fingers left over the amount of friends that I call friends, and it's crazy to me. So, but yeah, that's just a little venting that I have for today's episode, and just thank you for listening. Again, keep tuning in. I'm I'm just, I'm gonna continue to have these little mini episodes, and just to keep the ball rolling and the juices flowing. If you have, I've been getting some questions. I'm gonna wait until I have enough questions to actually make an entire podcast episode on it, so that I can share with you guys my answers to your questions. So thank you. Please keep the questions coming. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the love. A lot of people have been subscribing to my YouTube channel, and I couldn't be more grateful. Like, I am so content with the progress that we're making. And it's not just me, it's you too, because you guys been helping me out, giving me feedback, watching, laughing, encouraging me. Even if you're not giving me words of encouragement, you are encouraging me, because you're like commenting on it, you're laughing at my stuff, and you're interacting. So thank you very much. And like I said, please subscribe to the link in the bio. And that's it. I wish you guys a happy weekend. Today's Friday, so I gotta work. I gotta fucking work today, tomorrow, all the way until Thanksgiving. So much love once again. Peace out. It's your favorite curly headed Dominican, and thank you, my one of Niners. I'll see you guys next time.